Thank you for coming in.
You bet. Thank you for inviting me, man. I'm honored. Are you kidding me?
I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled.
That's honored. And you're going to do the repeat for me, right? Or the flip side on my podcast?
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. I'll dress up nicer for yours.
No, you don't have
to. For this, I stay in my zombie theme.
I like it.
So today it's Eat Locals. Remember,
so do you guys like celebrate big time on Halloween?
Well, I mean, look at The Office.
No, I know. It's cool.
It's, it's zombie.
So I love the podcast with the gal. I forget her name now.
Pamela.
Yeah, Pamela.
Yeah.
What was her last name?
Pamela Hughes.
Hughes, yeah. She was good.
So
she's
she's a host on KTAR.
Okay.
Longtime friend. And she, it was just a conversation that occurred. You know how our conversations go. You go from one thing to the next, and
it just rolls.
It just rolls.
Yep.
So one of the things that I've been dying to, like, I think we've talked a lot about it, but it's a question that's been back here for years. How do you go from being a student to designing homes for billionaires with, you don't have the formal training that a typical architect does?
That was a good thing.
Right. So how does that happen? Because, like, that resonates with me so deeply.
Yeah, well, that's what I was telling you. I watched that episode or your podcast of what you announced in your towel. I should have just came in a towel is what I should have done.
That would have been very appropriate.
No, so I don't think I knew any better. If I knew what I knew now and went into that situation,
right,
I'd probably pee my pants. But I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And so I just did what I was told to do and tried to do the best I could with what I knew at that point. And that was it. I think ignorance was a big benefit to me.
Right. What you don't know can't hurt you. So take me back to the start of your career. Like, where you are today.
Are we recording already?
Oh, yeah, we're rolling.
Oh, we're rolling. All right, here we go. You jumped right into it.
This thing was rolling from the moment you walked in.
All right, let's do it. So, well, it was really interesting how I even got into that position. I was working at the time for a billboard company. I don't know if I told you this story before.
No. So
I got married. I had to pay bills, so I quit school.
Right.
And this was in 1980, 79, 80. There was no jobs. I mean, there was nothing going on. I mean, it's probably 81, actually. And so I saw a recruiter got me a job at a billboard company designing the steel members for the billboard company. Okay, so I did that.
Like the
giant one. I did the largest billboard in the world in Anaheim Stadium, and I was just the drafter. I mean, I wasn't the one who made the deal and all that stuff. I just drew the steel angles and the pipes and all that stuff. So I did that for about 6-7 months, and then they put a moratorium on billboards, and I had to find another job again. So my wife's like wondering, what's the deal with this guy? She was 9 years older than me. I was 21. She was 30. Okay. So a little pressure, you know. You're trying to prove that you're a man.
Yeah, you got performance pressure here.
Yeah, so I saw an ad in the paper for a draftsman at George Christensen's office. George Christensen was my professor at ASU when I was going to school for architecture. And I recognized the name. I thought, God, if I can get this job, this would be perfect. I could work here, maybe get back to school. He'd be my professor. He'd give me some good lead-ins. So I went and interviewed, and I remember going in, and I remember preparing for it. I stayed up all night drawing stuff out of architecture books. I didn't even know what I was drawing. I'm just, this looks cool. I could draw, and I took tons of drafting.
I've watched you draw.
Yeah,
like
so
you
I
could do some shit on a napkin. Like if I give you a napkin right now,
I could draw it upside down for you,
and you can draw and talk at the same time, which I don't like because I can only do one thing at a time.
Yeah.
I don't know how the hell you do that. That's impressive, and I've watched you do it now multiple times where you literally will draw on a napkin upside down.
Yeah, I've drawn to you.
And I'm like, how the hell?
I learned a lot of that from George.
You're like Rain Man.
So anyway, I went in, I interviewed, I gave him this made-up portfolio of drawings. I didn't know what they were, but they looked good. And, the interview went really well. I was really enthusiastic, and I remember closing with, they asked me, well, what would you like to be paid? What are you looking for? And I said, I'm looking for a job. And I said, I don't care what you guys pay me. I want this job. I'll come work for you guys, and you can pay me whatever the hell you want to pay me, and I'll be happy. And I said, I know you'll be fair. I'll be fair. I'll work my butt off. And that was my closer. They called me 2 weeks later, and I got the job.
That's so funny. So in all the years I've known you, I never knew that story. And I'm going to share something that's similar, but it's slightly different. Before I got married, so Allison and I got married in 95.
Okay.
And so it was probably 93, 94, somewhere in there. We had an ownership change in radio, surprise.
Yep.
And I wound up out of work. It was the one time, and I had never been fired, but I was out of work because, well, ownership change and
stuff happened. That's how this was the Billboard company.
Right, radio change.
Well.
And so I had to find a job. And at that point, I was supporting her because she was going through some medical stuff. And this is how I won her parents over, by the way. I supported the woman I wasn't even married to.
That's a good way to start.
That was a good way to win. But there was a job opening at this little production company in Phoenix called Timberline Productions, which eventually was purchased by PGI, Production Group International. And they, at the time, they had a video editor that was doing audio post-production for video. I had never had any experience in that space. But I'm like, okay, I should be able to do this. So I went in there and interviewed for the job. And I said, hey, can I take the manuals home just so I can understand the equipment you're using? So I did. A couple of days later, I came back and I said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work for you guys for a week for nothing.
Yeah.
If after a week you like what I'm doing and think that I can handle the job, give me the job.
Yeah.
If you don't, don't.
Yeah.
Day 2, they fired their audio guy and hired me.
Yeah.
And that's how
getting your foot in the door is the most important thing most of the time.
And you've got to be creative. And I think, sadly, a lot of younger people today, and now I'm going to sound like a complete geezer, but a lot of younger people
geezers,
today,
dude.
But we're not. No, you're a geezer, more of a geezer than I am.
Yeah, for sure.
You've got a few more years in the geezer department. But no, a lot of young people today don't want to put in the effort.
Yeah.
And I don't know where that comes from. And I don't think it's a millennial mindset. I think a lot of people.
I know a lot of people don't want to put in the effort.
Right. Like Troy, my camera guy, this kid is money. He puts in the effort, shows up,
We know where that will lead, right?
Right. And there are people out there that will do that, but a lot of people just go, I don't want to put it in the work.
They want to do the minimum.
Or they want to come out of school and start a $100,000 job.
Exactly. I want to be. How soon can I be CEO?
Right.
Yeah.
And which it takes a while.
Right. So
you start there.
So I start there, and I remember the first day I get into the office, and some of the they had these drafting boards with May lines on them. The sliding rulers. I'd never seen one of those before. So mine was sitting in a box on the desk, and they hand it to me and say, go ahead and set up your station. I'm just like looking at them, I don't know.
You have no idea what to do.
I've never even seen one of these things.
Oh crap!
So I'm kind of sitting there looking at it, and then the guy behind me, who ultimately became my partner, I ultimately became his best man in his wedding. He kind of looked at me and he goes, "You need a little help there, don't you?" And I said, "Yeah, I don't know how this thing works." He goes, "Here, I'll help you put it together." He put it together as Brian Cassidy. We ultimately became partners in that firm. And we were the two low men in the totem pole at that time. Right. He later taught me how to tie a tie because we had to go to a function one night, and I never knew how to put on a tie. Right. He sat there, taught me how to put on a tie.
Now, did you do the?
I do the real simple one.
You do that kind of the slop. What is it called?
I don't know.
But you know the one.
I don't do the double Windsor thing.
Yeah, the double Windsor.
I'm not, mine's real simple.
I can only do a double Windsor because I don't know how to do the simple knot. Because I've only learned.
So we can keep learning. A couple old geezers can still learn a few things.
So I've learned only the double Windsor. So I can do a tie, and it's a perfect triangle.
Right.
Not that
kind of a little tilted over a little bit. Yeah.
That I always look at that and go, God, who taught him how to tie that? Not you.
Brian taught me, so that's how I learned.
But I've never seen. I don't think I've only seen you in a bow tie at like.
Well, I wear ties a lot. I love bow ties.
Maybe I just don't remember seeing you in a tie. Most of the time I see you.
I'm kind of getting into tie season right now, so I'm start wearing ties again.
I should wear a bow tie with my T-shirts.
There you go. That would look good.
So
yeah. So I mean that's how rudimentary and how basic I was at that point.
So and this was 82. Way beginning.
Way beginning. Okay. I mean, I remember then they'd hand me some drawings, and I'd look at them and go, God, I'm not sure what this is. I'd go and run to the bookstore and buy books on building and construction. I'd sit there and read them and go understand it. The next thing I go like this, and then I go, I think. Then they take me out to job sites, and I'd see it and I'd learn it. So I was on constant learn mode. I mean, I would work all day, and then all night I would read books and study and just learn.
This is pre-Google. So
Oh, yes.
Books are
Yeah, I went to Walden.
Right.
I don't even think the big bookstores were even in existence then.
Okay.
So I would just sit and learn. And I would take sets of drawings from the office,
Right.
old sets, and study them, and basically taught myself what these guys were doing in the office every day and just absorbing it. And I would work probably on average 12 hours a day. I would stay late and just hang out with the old guys and learn from them, And it wasn't because it was work. I was so interested and I was so excited that to me it wasn't work at all. It's like I could have stayed there all night. I was having so much fun learning. And from 82 until by 87, I was a partner in the firm with Brian and 2 other guys and the guy who started the company, George Christensen. We became partners, and I was there for 18 years.
And so fast forward, you've gone through 18 years building your career.
Yep.
And then when did Candelaria Design come to life?
Let me back up a little bit on that one. So during that 18 years, I wanted to go back to school. Remember I said I wanted to go back and get my degree because I always had a chip on the shoulder. You know what that's all about.
Yeah.
I just felt like here's the people that stayed in school started working for me 5 years later. And here I'm, well, you never graduated. How come I'm working for you now?
So you've got your own judgment about yourself because you don't have the degree.
I don't have the degree.
And so, and I had that same thing.
I'm the scarecrow without the paper.
Here I am. I have people working for me, and I'm like, I don't even have a high school diploma. Right? That's a real weight. But when you said, all right, I'm going to go back to school and get this, what transpired?
So when you're into this only 5 years and you have that feeling, it's pretty monumental.
Sure.
If it was to happen now, I don't care about not having a degree now.
Now it's irrelevant.
It's irrelevant. But at that time, I talked to George and I said, I'd really like to go back to architecture school. And he said, well, it's going to be really tough because it's pretty much all day, all night program, And I said, yeah, I was wondering how I was going to do that. He said, you know what you should do is you should go get a business degree. Go get a finance degree or something that these guys don't have. And you can take classes at night. It's a lot easier. And I thought, and I loved business. I mean, I've been a little businessman since I was a little kid. So that's what I did. I took finance, business law, marketing, loved marketing, if you can tell. All those classes. I never finished. I'm like 15 hours short of getting a finance degree. But I loved what I had learned. I learned tons about accounting. I took like 4 semesters of accounting. So I learned how to read balance sheets and, run a business.
Right.
And that's really what my role became at CCBG. I was really part of the whole business operation, marketing. And then when George retired in 99, I just, they were going way more commercial, and I really loved the residential side because it's so much more personal. And so that's when I decided to just go out on my own and give it a shot. I was 39 years old and had nothing to lose. The economy was fairly decent, and off I went.
And you started.
And I started. My goal was, I had been working so hard for those 18 years. I just wanted to maybe do 1 or 2 houses a year, hang out by the pool with my dog, work out of the house. I had this
Smoke a cigar.
Yeah, I had this idyllic idea of what life would be like as my own sole architect.
Right. You were going to be you were mentally going down the path of I'm going to be a solopreneur.
Yep.
Right. They didn't call it back then.
Right.
That was you were just working for yourself.
Yep.
And living at home, working at home.
Pick a few clients, have fun.
Right. And enjoy that lifestyle.
Yeah, and keep my costs low so it wouldn't take a lot to keep things running.
So talk to me about the first job you picked up at Candelaria Design. Who was the client number one?
Well, you know him, I think, Patrick Murphy.
Of course I know him.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So Patrick was, I had designed his house at CCBG, his remodel in Paradise Valley. And in the fall of 99 or whenever it was, he said, hey, I want to take you up to Idaho. I said, I might have a project for you. And I said, well, I'm kind of thinking of going on my own. He says, you're going on your own. This is going to be your first project. So, we flew up there. We got on the boat, went out there on the lake. He showed me the lot from the lake first.
Okay.
And you've been there. You know what that experience is like. On a wood boat.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was just amazing. I'm just like, oh my God, how can I say no to this?
So
Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Let's paint a picture. It's Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Majestic mountains rising up out of the lake.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Trees everywhere.
Just beautiful.
The air is fresh and crisp. It's gorgeous there.
It's gorgeous. And so for me, it was like this is what I'm going to do. This is my dream. You know, I've got a client I have a lot of fun with, and of course the first project was a Lincoln log. You know, I played with those as a kid for years, so I was like, okay, let's do it. I didn't know anything about building with logs, but we learned.
So a little Pat Murphy trivia.
Yeah. There's a lot of Pat Murphy trivia.
He taught me how to make a Caesar.
I remember that story.
Which is different than...
I will show you how to make the best Caesar you've ever had. Oh,
I'm telling you, I love Caesars. They're great drinks.
Yeah.
And I still have the recipe he gave me. Yeah. So if you've never had a Caesar, Google search it because it's a great drink.
It's a good drink.
And in fact, I'll probably... You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to dig up the recipe from Pat.
Okay.
And I'll put it in the show notes.
There you go.
For this episode because it's Pat's special recipe. So the first project you got to do on your own is Candelaria Designs, right? Under your own brand.
Yep.
Was Pat's
Murphy's
log house in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Yep. I mean, 10,000 square foot house.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
On a cliff overlooking the lake. It's insane.
My favorite room in that house, or my favorite spot in that house, is the bathtub.
Yeah, that floats.
That floats over the cantilevered edge, and you can see the lake. That's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's so pretty.
And I'll have pictures of that as well.
Cool.
So I'll make sure I get them from your office.
So that was my first job. And then another buddy called, and he bought a lot in Cornville, which is kind of up by Cottonwood near Sedona. And the lot was basically in the middle of the river. I mean, he was in the riverbed.
Right.
And so we had to design a house there, and it turned out with the engineering, we had to build the house on stilts that were embedded in the ground 10 feet down into the ground because of the flood wash. And then we had to build the stilts 10 feet up out of the ground. So we had this house basically on 20-foot stilts.
Okay, so 10 feet exposed, 10 feet underground. Okay.
And people looked at him like, you're crazy. And he kept looking at me, this is nuts. And I said, no, I'm telling you, this is what my engineer's saying we have to do. So the whole house was basically levitating on a series of stilts. And sure enough, he moves in within a year. They had one of these big floods right through the Oak Creek. And every house in that neighborhood washed away but his. So he was pretty happy about that. He lost his pool table because his pool table was down below, but that's all he lost.
Okay, well, you can live with that.
Yeah,
pool tables are replaceable.
Exactly.
So how did you get? So obviously, so Pat Murphy, job one, came from your old company where you did commercial projects.
Yep. And we did a lot of residential there.
How did your reputation grow as the guy who designs homes for? Let's call it Robin Leach's Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous.
Yes.
I have met and spent a lot of time with many of your clients. We've had great times together.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time with them in Italy.
Yeah.
We had an amazing time there. How did you go from commercial to Pat Murphy to where you're designing now all over the country?
Right.
And you're designing some of the most incredible, these are
homes
homes that are
insane.
Give me the top build cost without mentioning the name of the client.
Well, we're doing a house right now that's just, let's just say it's north of 50,000 square feet, and it's probably going to be over $1,000 a foot. So whatever that math adds up, I think it's like 50 million. It's crazy.
That's
okay? I won't say where it is, who it is, or what it is. Right. But that's kind of our extreme one. And we've got one published right now in Phoenix Home and Garden that's 64,000 square feet. That was probably $500-600 a foot.
That's insane.
So, some big stuff.
So, how do you deal with the pressure of the clientele that you work with? Like when I say the pressure, you can't fuck up a $50 million house, right?
No.
It's really
not a fun
right. So
thing.
How do you deal? Like that's an intense amount of pressure. By the way, how come I'm the only one drinking whiskey?
I'm drinking.
You said whiskey. It was water, whiskey,
I'm
or
enjoying
wine.
it.
Okay, just making sure. How do you go? How do you deal with that pressure of not wanting to make a mistake? I mean, I having been in, I don't even know how many houses you've designed and built. There's a lot of detail that goes into these houses, and this is a clientele that they demand excellence.
Oh, yeah.
They don't demand mediocrity.
No. They're hiring you for a reason.
Right.
They want the best.
They're not buying a tract home. They're designing a Candelaria home.
Right. And they're not buying lots, generally speaking, that are flat. You know, we have plenty of flat lots, but we have lots that are on cliffs. I just finished a house. We actually had to build a tunnel to get to the house.
Oh, I know that one.
Yeah.
There was a beehive.
You were zooming it a few times.
The mountain was bombed.
Yeah. It was bombed.
Sorry.
Well, it was blasted with dynamite.
I used the wrong word. The mountain. Bombed is something that happens in foreign countries. Blasted with dynamite. And
well, we had to stop blasting because one boulder got away and almost tore down the house below us.
But no. But the beehive. Do you remember the beehive?
Yeah, I remember that story about the beehive.
They blasted. They put the blast mats on the side of the mountain.
You were there that
blasted
day.
it. I was there that
Yeah.
day. And the operator of the one of the machines
Yep.
was highly allergic to bees. They had no idea there was an underground beehive. And when they blasted it,
Just exposed them
thousands and thousands of bees took to the air. And everybody was running. And I'm like, what are they running from? I don't hear the buzz because we've got drones in
See,
the
that's
air.
stress, right?
Right.
That's stress.
I just hear the buzz of the drones. Meanwhile, everyone's running, and I see this black cloud of bees.
Just coming at
and I'm
you,
like,
right?
holy crap!
It's like Moses.
Right. So I let the drone control go because they'll hover, and I ran. And by the way, I've never run that fast in my life.
gosh.
I could have been a wide receiver. I ran so fast.
No, we've had crazy stuff happen, and it is a lot of stress. I mean, I think the more you do it, you see more of the things that can go wrong. So you're just I'm constantly trying to think, what could go wrong here? What could go wrong here? And help my team be the old guy that's got all the lash wounds.
Right.
It's like, watch out for this because this could happen. They're like, are you serious? I do this because if you don't, this could happen. And they get tired of me a lot doing that until they see that I saved a lot of stress for them. They go,
Right.
I'm glad you told me about that. That was good. Thank you.
So over the years, you've designed how many homes?
I think like 1,250 homes or something like that. Or
and these aren't
1,200
1,250 homes that you would see in a regular community. These
No.
are 1,250
Yeah.
custom,
Yeah.
gorgeous.
We have probably 110 homes on the boards right now.
That's insane. And they're all over the U.S.
All over we're in 15 states right now, and we're doing one in Canada.
You do something very special. I think it's remarkable, and I love it. It actually speaks to me as a creative, and that is you love to cook.
Oh, yeah.
And so
it's a lot faster than architecture.
it is. So at the end of every design build, when you have a housewarming,
Right.
you do something special for all of your clients.
We just did it Sunday night, actually.
So tell me a little bit about that, and how did that start?
Well, it really started from our tours to Italy, which is a whole other story, as you know.
Okay.
We take people to Italy every year. We've now added Spain. And in the course of the Italy trip, at the midpoint of that trip, we have a cooking class. And it's like a 4-hour cooking class with our clients and our travelers and whoever happens to be on the trip. And it's what we have found it is one of the most bonding moments that it's just hard to describe. But everyone pulls together, everyone's having fun. And as we've been doing these over the years, we finally started saying, why aren't we doing this back home? Why aren't we doing this with our clients, with the team that put in all the hard work to build this house? And we just did it, like I said, Sunday night at a client's house. And we had so much fun. It was exactly how it is in Italy. We just all had fun. The client enjoyed it. And what a nice message for the client to say back to the team.
Right.
Hey, we appreciate what you guys did. We're celebrating. So what we've kind of started doing now, too, is instead of waiting till the end of the job, we've been doing cooking evenings during the job.
Okay.
So, like, we've got one this Friday. I've got a team. We're just about ready to break ground, and we're going to have the whole team come over for dinner at our house. Okay? And what it does is, when you're in a meeting, I'm the architect, you're the builder, you're the engineer, you're the lighting guy, you're the interior designer. You're professionals. You're in those titles.
Right. You're in your job.
You're in your job. And once we get in the kitchen, we're cooking, having a little wine or whiskey, and we're having some fun. Everyone becomes people again,
Right. Yep.
And what happens after that is everyone treats everyone more like a people,
Like family.
like family. It changes, and I've seen it a million times.
I experienced that in Italy. It was interesting. So I was with you, and I had one of my film crews in 2016.
2016, yeah.
And we did the Italy tour. And I remember that night, that dinner night.
Yeah.
That was so special
It's very
because
special.
Your travelers never treated the film crew any differently.
Right.
But that night, everybody became family.
Yeah, everyone lost the titles.
Right.
Yeah.
Everyone lost their titles. There's no, I'm better
hierarchy.
than, right. There's no. It was just we're all in the kitchen cooking together,
Totally.
making pasta.
Totally.
And I think that was the year you launched your pasta maker.
Yeah, the pasta maker with us.
And still selling them, by the
Yeah,
way.
well, I hear Phoenix Home Garden, and somebody else is going to feature it the next couple months. So in their magazine.
If I had the patience to make pasta with 5 kids, I would.
But you can feed them real fast if you do make it.
No, I can go to the store and buy it
Yeah, that's
ready-made,
true.
or I go to an Italian restaurant.
Yeah, exactly.
Way
Just come
easier.
over to my house.
or come over to your house. Do you really know what you're inviting over to your house when you invite the Moskowitz family?
That would be an adventure, I think.
It would be hell. You would. Why the hell did we do this?
Oh, I think it'd be fun. We got to do that.
But we can do that.
Yeah.
I would love to do that.
So what we try to do is just make the whole thing more fun,
Right.
because it is stressful. We're doing these very complicated jobs. They're super expensive. They're there's nothing easy about them. That's why they hire us,
Right.
know. And so in the process of doing that, we want to make the experience of designing and building a house something that's very memorable and has some meaning to everybody, the whole team,
I remember a house that you built, and it was a French-inspired chateau. Mm-hmm. Spent a lot of time in that house.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time filming
Yeah,
with
it
the
was
crew.
fun.
Met the homeowners.
Yeah.
And I remember having a conversation with the homeowners about that house and just how it felt like an extension of their being.
Right.
And that's what I think with all of your clients.
Yeah.
That you design a home that is an extension of who they are.
Right.
It's not just a box with walls.
No. I mean, we really try to figure out our client, what's motivating them. And what I try to do now is even take it further. I really like to figure out, where do they want to go with their life personally?
Right.
And it's not like I'm going to sit there like a psychotherapist and, drill them for information. But I just observe and listen to them and try to find out what their passions are and then help create, a beautiful kitchen or a beautiful bedroom or a beautiful office or a beautiful patio that I think will foster that next step for them, in some way. And I've heard it millions of times, and I am super grateful that it happens. I've had so many clients come back and go, I don't know what you did here, but I can sit in this one space for hours. And I go, I know exactly what we did,
So, of all the houses you've designed throughout your career,
Mm-hmm.
is there one house that you have like a deep emotional connection to that you walk into and it's special for you?
Well, I think the one we were just in on Sunday is probably definitely one of those. This was a project we started in 2006. We worked on the design for...
06?
06. We worked on the design for almost 6 years because during the course of the design, Bernie Madoff made off with all their money.
Okay.
And so then they downsized it, got some of their money back, had some, over 6 years, you're going to change your mind on a few things, put it all together. Then we built the house or started the construction. Then they had issues with the builder, had to fire the builder, and then hire another builder to finish the house. That whole process took 5 years because, it wasn't like you get rid of one builder and the other builder just walks up and starts working the next day.
Right.
A lot of sorting out to do. And we finished it. Took 11 years,
And I know the people involved in
think
this
you do,
project.
right?
Oh, I've met them several times.
Yeah.
Wonderful people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's fun for me is that I know many of
you've been to many of my projects.
Right. I've been to many of
And you've
your
met
projects.
the clients.
Right. We've had dinners together and
Right.
cocktails and, so I know exactly who this is that you're referring to.
Yep.
And the house is gorgeous.
You should see it now. Now that it's
It's-
all finished and furnished, and she's finishing up all the artwork on the walls. And
Can we share some pictures of that finished house? Or
Yeah.
is that? Yeah?
Yeah.
I'd love to do that.
we're gonna shoot it and film it next month. So
Cool.
yeah,
So, fast forward, a couple of years ago, you and I connected with you connected with me in my other company,
Right.
And I think it was probably through the Scottsdale Charos and some relationships and friendships
and social media.
social media, and so we started working with you, filming projects and other things.
Which, by the way, you were the best I've probably ever had.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I could drink whiskey with you.
That's true.
It was fun.
If I get bored with this, I'll pick up a camera and go back to that. or at least running the cruise.
Well, I told you I want to get on the camera and film you.
I know, that would be fun. That would be a role reversal.
Yeah, role reversal.
I'm going to be in Texas in a few weeks. You should come out.
Yeah, we talked about that.
But if you're really up to that, I'll put you. That would be on social media. Amazing. World-renowned architect.
Look who my cameraman is today.
Right. I got Candelaria. This guy designs freaking billionaire homes, and he's now my camera guy. By the way, he's not even working for Eugene Scale. He's volunteered.
Yeah, fun. I just love doing different things. That's why I love to cook.
It's fun.
It's just fun to try different things.
It is. So a few years ago, you and I were sitting in, I think it was your conference room, maybe it was your office, and I started talking to you about creating and producing content,
right,
and putting content out there online. And I remember that you gave me the same look most people do at first, which is like, "Are you fucking kidding me? I've got to do another thing."
Yeah,
right. And I remember the resistance, but I'm like, Mark, trust me.
I knew where you were going with it. I just knew the effort it was going to take.
It was going to be a Herculean effort.
Yeah.
And then I don't remember how it came up, but I dropped or introduced you to Gary Vaynerchuk's content.
Right.
And I said, Mark, you got to watch this guy. Like, this is the way you need to do this shit.
Yeah, that's cool. It was very inspiring.
Help me.
I still listen to him. I love watching him.
His stuff is great. I was just in New York last week with him.
Yeah,
And it was
amazing.
He is as genuine and as real as they get. Tell me how that transition has gone from, because you have, so to paint a really clear picture, you have a lot of clients that are very private, right? You work with high-level CEOs of big corporations. You work with athletes at the highest level. And they want their anonymity.
Right.
But at the same time, you want to film and document the process of what you do.
I mean, there's a lot of jobs we just cannot film and release, period. You know, and I would say some of the best jobs and houses I've ever done have never been photographed, have never been seen other than by people at parties. And it hurts me.
Or magazines.
No magazines have seen
Not even magazines?
Nope, they don't want anything.
Even if they redact
I have some jobs that they've never, I don't even know that many people that have ever been in these houses. That's how private some of them are. But yeah, you just don't know. And then I have other clients that are the complete opposite. You know, they want as much.
Sure, go for it.
Go for it. Have as much fun as you want.
So what has that been like over the last couple of years, transitioning to a media company?
Yeah.
Right? Because that's really what you've started to do, is you've become a
We're
media
still
company.
working at that, but we're getting there.
But I'm seeing more and more content out there, right? Candelaria as a brand.
Right.
So I look at it differently, right? There's 3 levels of 3. Let me check that. Yeah, that's
you're the expert in this field.
There's 3 levels of our relationship.
Right.
We have the friendship.
Right.
We have the Candelaria architecture side, but we also have the content side.
Right.
And I know all 3 of those pretty well.
Yep.
How difficult has that transition been for you? And what are the light bulb moments that you've had from it over the last couple of years as you've migrated into
this? For me, it's still a big work in process. I mean, the part about it that I love is, if you shoot a house, maybe 6 photographs get shown or published or whatever. Well, 6 photographs don't do justice to these houses. What I love about video is you can show so much more. You can capture the mood, the feel. You can talk. You can tell the story. And to me, that's what's I really find interesting and fascinating, and just getting the people that are involved into the story also.
Right, like we did with Sketch.
Yeah, so many people work and put their heart and soul in these houses, and no one knows about it. And the people that are out there in the field working on the roof and doing the lumber, and I don't think those people get appreciated enough, to be honest with you. And I think some of those jobs are amazing jobs that I think a lot of the young people just they don't want anything to do with. But like my stucco guy, he drives a Lamborghini, guys. I mean, he's making coin.
And he's a stucco guy.
He's a stucco guy, but he's the best stucco guy I've ever worked with. And this guy makes a lot of money, He's very fair and reasonable, but he does a great job. So there's a lot of jobs out there that I think people just don't, realize are great. And I love showing the work that people do.
Right. It's amazing when you can share, especially what you do is so unique.
Right.
I remember when we were redesigning our kitchen and our floor, and we have a tract home, right? We have a basic 4,000 square foot builder home in a master plan community.
I love doing projects like that, though.
Right. But for me, I'm like, Mark, we've got these ugly remember when I messaged you? I'm like, we've got these ugly, what are they, archways that my wife wanted to eliminate, but there was no way for us to eliminate them because the electricians were sloppy and the wires were really tight. So it would have been a really big project. And you made this simple recommendation of switching the floor pattern at those points in the hallway.
And then transition from there.
Transition, right. Which, like, we have people walk in and they will look at our floor and like, that's brilliant. I'm like, that's my
funny.
man.
That's funny.
That's Candelaria design right there.
What I love is a big portion of our work, actually almost 2/3 of our work is remodel, believe it or not.
Wow.
And I love doing remodels. I mean, and the other thing is, we do the mega mansions and all those things, but we do a lot of just one-room remodels, kitchen remodels. And I love them because they're fast, you know, and we can take all this knowledge from the big mega houses and kind of pull them into these little small, quick flip and turns, you know. And they're great. I love doing them.
Yeah, but your quick flip and turns are hundreds of thousands of dollar remodels. These aren't like, my $40,000 remodel. No, these are 10x.
Yeah, they're some pretty crazy ones.
They're amazing.
But the media, it's interesting to see where this is all going to go. And like I said, it's a learning process. We just keep trying different things. And I think what you taught me is so true, and I hear it from other people, is you got to tell the story.
Yeah.
It's the story that people are interested in, and what makes this house, why is it different, how did it get here, who are the people behind it.
Like there's a house, and I'll give a little insight, and then you can take us there if we're allowed to talk about this house. Okay. There's a house that I've been in that you designed that has special little doors that are very small.
Yeah, we can talk about that house.
Okay, so talk about this house, and so this is talking about the uniqueness of a home.
It's a great story too. I mean, it's a couple who met at U of A. She was from, I forget where, back east, Ohio or something like that, and he was an Arizona boy that lived in Yuma, and they fell in love. And he says, we're moving to Yuma. And she goes, no, not.
Now, by the way, just for context, for people who are not
know where Yuma is,
right? So we're based in Arizona. Our headquarters. You're based in Scottsdale,
right?
Arizona. Yuma is, we joke, the armpit of the state.
It's in the lower southwest corner of the state,
it's
right on the
near
California
Mexico
border.
and California.
Yeah.
And very close to Calexico.
Right.
So it's not like the hustling.
No.
It's not like Scottsdale.
It's not Scottsdale.
It's not even
kind of
close.
the opposite.
Yes, it's the exact opposite.
So to go along with that, this particular client is a lettuce farmer, okay? Amongst other things, but lettuce is their big deal. And he has this huge lettuce farm, I don't know, hundreds of acres. And his pitch to her was, look, if you marry me and move to Yuma, the armpit of Arizona, let's call it. I don't want to be mean to people in Yuma, but...
I met Allison in Yuma.
Okay, see?
But she's from Ohio, too.
Well, there
How
you go.
ironic.
They could probably be related. So anyway, he said, look, if you move to Yuma, I will build you your dream house in the middle of my lettuce field. And must have been a good pitch because she said yes. So they eventually came on my Italy trip.
Yeah.
They dreamed about the house. We designed it. It's this beautiful villa in the middle of the lettuce field. And she is an amazing lady. I mean, she's one of the most creative clients I've ever worked with.
I totally picked that up.
She did painting, she did murals in the house, and then she doesn't like when I call them imaginary friends. She has friends that live in the house, little mice, Felonious and Mr. I better say this right, Crumb Snatcher. Okay. So these little creatures live in the house. So she has doors that have little mouse houses that we designed, and baseboards that have mouse houses,
and they're awesome,
and little hotels, and the whole house is full of them. They're hidden all over the house, but you just go look for them. You know?
They're like little secret gems throughout the house, and these little mouse doors, and it's really cool. And it's in the middle of a lettuce field.
You're driving up and you go, what? And all of a sudden this mansion appears on the middle of the lettuce field.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah. So it's stuff like that I just think is neat, and we've got to know those people are still doing stuff over there. And you were out there and we were making pizzas on the patio. Yep. And, that's what it's all about to me, is just the people, it's doing. And so it's hard when we get a project where the people aren't into it. And I've really tried to, pick clients now that do want to have that experience, because I think the older you get, you you know, you want to make the rest of your life meaningful, I guess.
Right, and it's fun.
It's just so much fun.
At the end of the day, what you're doing with your clients is so much fun. You're building an experiential home for them.
Yeah. So the client Sunday that we had the team dinner, she just texted me. I have a phone call with her tonight at 7. She wants me to come cook for her birthday.
When's that?
In December 6th or something like that.
I think
it's her. It's either her 70th birthday or something like that.
I'll bring the wine.
All right.
Or the whiskey.
Yeah. So I don't know what I'm cooking yet, but she's already says you're cooking for me.
Like how I invited myself to that dinner.
I love that.
Well, if you're cooking though,
it'll be good.
I've experienced your cooking, so I know what it's like. So, tell me about the transition now. You're producing.
Yep.
You're documenting more. You've got cameras following you around
A little bit.
and you're filming a ton more. I'm seeing a lot more of the design work showing up.
Right.
How has that changed not only the business but the acquisition of new business?
It is making a big impact because we just got a job from a client who follows us. She lives in Minneapolis, and they just bought a lot in Silverleaf. She's seen my work on social media, the videos, and she goes, "I love your work. I love your brand. I love your podcast. I love everything you're doing. I want to hire. I feel like I already know you,
Right.
you know, and I want to do a house with someone that's how they want to do a house."
Like the relationship started before they even signed the paperwork.
Totally. So by chance, I said, "Well, I'm going to be in High Point, North Carolina next week." She goes, "So am I." So we met, and we had a great meeting, and they'll be here over Thanksgiving, and we'll get the process started. So that's one example. I heard we just got another call from one in Texas yesterday. And so, I think it just gives you the opportunity to reach way beyond the Scottsdale Phoenix borders. And we're fortunate to be working in a field that we can really work anywhere. We don't have to go there and do the stucco work.
You just need a piece of land. To build
and
on.
I can draw anywhere, so it doesn't matter where I'm at,
Yeah, in fact, you can draw anywhere. You can even draw on a cocktail napkin, upside down.
So the log house in Coeur d'Alene,
Yep.
Pat and I got stuck in an airport in Portland one day on the way up there, and 4 or 5 hours of Pat Murphy, you're going to be in a bar drinking whiskey. So the cocktail napkins were coming out.
How about at 8:30 in the morning?
Oh my God! So he goes.
By the way, there was no judgment in that.
That's okay. Sketch me some rooms. I started sketching on the napkins. He saved them all. He's got them framed.
Right.
They ended up in the Wall Street Journal last year, almost exactly to this time last year. So they published the napkin sketches. And there was an article about, architects still doing stuff old school.
How did I not know about this?
It was pretty cool.
I would have shared that had I known, because knowing you and knowing him.
Yep.
And I remember like it was yesterday, the day we were filming there. So there were two things that were very memorable about that trip. And I wonder if your memory and my memory are the same. Well, first of all, having Pat make drinks at 8:30 in the morning because, well, it's noon somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, we've got filming going on. But if you remember, one of our camera guys was ill that day.
Yeah.
And we wound up, he was very sick. And Phil.
Yeah, I remember
And we
that.
wound up taking him back. In fact, I wrote about Phil in the book. We wound up taking him back. We were going to go back and drop him off and give him the rest of the day to just recover.
Right.
And on the way back, Phil was hungry.
Right. We went to Mod Pizza.
We went and got pizza.
All my daughters remember this.
Right. And that's right, because he almost puked on her. Oh, my God, I feel so bad. But we went and stopped at Mod Pizza, and and he stopped shaking. He wasn't nauseous anymore, and that was the genesis of a commercial series that I did for another client.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
That was that trip in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Yeah, you just never know. That's what I say.
Just creative inspiration comes from everywhere.
Yep.
Anything that I can share with my followers, my fan base, that they ought to know about what you do and what
I think just like you do. I mean, I think the key is to find something that you love and you can have fun with. And it's always tough because you always measure yourself against other people
Right.
And obviously I'm no billionaires, so I'm always feeling like, how come I didn't become a billionaire?
But you don't do it for the money.
I probably should do it for the money, but I
don't.
I mean,
your company makes money.
We do great. I mean, trust me, we do really well.
You don't do it for the money. You do it because of the love of what you do.
Yeah. I want to pay the bills. I treat my employees really well. I don't fly around in jets, and, my own jet and crazy cars. That's not me. I live in a 3,700 square foot house. It's a patio home, But my employees, I try to treat them really well. I've got 3 new partners, all women, which is just by chance. It just happened to be women.
Right. And they're all exceptional women.
Very different from each other.
Oh,
extremely
remarkably
different.
so.
Yeah. And so to me, it's just, I love kind of what George did for me. I love mentoring and watching the company grow and watching people learn. And, I love that. I love seeing the legacy kind of continue on.
So let's talk about legacy, and that'll be our icing on the cake.
Okay.
When Mark Candelaria is no longer of this earth,
Yeah.
how do you want people to remember you?
Fun guy. Had a lot of fun. The guy always had fun. Worked hard. Had fun. I don't know. I guess that'd be it.
And I love the fact that your name lives in as rooms in some of your clients' homes.
Yeah, I've got clients that named whole suites after me. We've had some, like with that client, same thing. We went over, stayed the night, partied, played the piano till like 2 in the morning, and then I got my inkling to make pasta at 2 in the morning. So we got
because why wouldn't you?
We got the pasta maker out. We ate pasta at 4 a.m. and then we all slept until noon. And we had so much fun. They're going to be here in a few weeks to come visit me.
Well, when they do, let me know.
Yeah.
I want to come up to your office. I love coming up to your office and hanging with the people up there. I know.
And we're expanding our office. We're adding a kitchen in the office.
Nice.
So we'll be able to have meetings and go right into the kitchen.
Are you going to put a pizza oven in?
No, we don't have the ventilation. But I just got a pizza oven for my house. And I love that.
I want to come over and make pizzas with you.
Yeah, it'd be fun. I'm just learning, but I'm getting there.
Do you flip the dough in the air?
Nope, can't do that yet.
I can teach you.
All right.
So the Jew from New York can teach you how to make pizza.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
See?
That'd be awesome.
I've got you there.
Yep.
I'm glad you came in today.
This is fun.
And
a lot of fun.
I am so
I'm
grateful.
a big fan of yours.
No, I'm a big fan of yours. It's a mutual admiration
awesome.
society.
It's awesome.
No, I've been a big fan of yours for years. You and I have become great friends over the years, and I'm just thrilled that you gave me the time to come in today and sit with me and share some.
This was great.
Terrible. Look at that. I didn't even brand it. Some whiskey.
It's awesome.
So if you had picked wine, do you know I would have been really excited. Do you know why?
No.
Because I got that wine from Wine Library.
Nice.
Gary Vaynerchuk.
Oh, from Gary Vayner. Well, I'll have to come back and do another one.
I feel like I need to sponsor every bottle of wine that's in here has to be a Gary V wine.
Well, I definitely didn't go this route.
No, but
That's too tame for me.
water, wine, or whiskey.
Yeah, there you go.
Right,
I
depends
just start
on
right at the top.
Right, yeah. Start at the heavy stuff.
Go this way.
Well, thank you for coming.
All
in
right,
today.
brother.
I appreciate you, man.
Awesome.
See
Thank
soon.
you.